Hi, my name is Kherington Patton, and I'm a sophomore at HSC, and I do high school soccer, and I also do high school track. And I have been running from since I was really young, and I've also played soccer for a very long time.
I'm gonna ask you what does HSC stand for? For the people who
Hamilton
don't.
Southeastern High School.
All right, because there are some people who are from all over the state, and they're
Yes.
kind of listed in, so they're like, okay, all right. So we started out. How did you get in the track?
Yes.
So I've always liked running, and I started running at a run club in my elementary, and I've just kind of grown with running and my love for it, and I really like racing and running in racing events. And I race in like the 4x8, 4x4, 800 and 400.
Okay,
What do you like the most? What event do you like the most?
I definitely like mid distance more than like distance and sprints because I think it's a
Mhm.
good middle. I like the 800 more, but I do enjoy the sprinting side too.
now the sprinting side of it, would you call that the four side, or are you talking about the
Yes.
two side?
Well, I think I want to try getting more into sprints as well, like the 200s and the 100s. But track has definitely helped me with my speed in soccer.
Well, at this point, we know you're an athlete, so
Mhm.
track is kind of our secondary sport. However, it's always possibility for it to be your primary sport because
Yes.
you're just a sophomore, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So what would you say, because you're making that transition, what would you say is like been the most challenging aspect of track and field? And even comparing it to soccer. So what do you think is
I think definitely I get more nervous for racing events than I do for soccer games. And I think it's just because track is a timed thing and you're trying to beat your goals from last time. And with soccer, it's kind of like a team sport. And so I think it's more challenging in track to be able to like meet your own expectations. And like I think I definitely struggle with more anxiety when it comes to track than it does with soccer.
the butterflies make you fly?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's how that works when it comes to track. You get a
Mhm.
little nervous, they help you get moving.
Yes.
Okay.
And go. That's cool. What's been your most memorable moment from competing thus far in track?
Definitely hanging out with my friends because my closest friends run with me at track and they definitely help push me. And I think just like getting ready before meets and just the pregame before meets are definitely the best part.
Right.
All right.
And when one question we tend to ask our athletes when they come on the show is, do you feel like you've had to sacrifice anything? And a lot of times they may say no or friends. And so I think it's really cool
Hmm.
that your friends are actually on the team. So you
Yeah.
get the best of both worlds where
Yes.
you all are in it together, right? And so
Hmm.
the practices and the
Yeah.
meet and the
It definitely helps us
weekends.
grow closer. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, being in as an athlete, being in multiple sports, how would you say that's kind of helped shape your character and how you deal with people?
It's definitely taught me grit and hard work because it is challenging in the spring when I am juggling club soccer and when I'm juggling high school track. And so it's definitely taught me that like I have to be working hard all the time. And that's one of the main things that playing those both like running and soccer have helped me with.
And so
Okay.
Carrington, you talked about balance, right? Because
Mhm.
it's a heavy lift, but you're doing really well with it. Are there any tips or tricks that help you balance soccer, track, and your academics?
I think definitely making sure you're prioritizing and not pushing off certain work, like getting my homework done during school and like trying to focus on like one practice at a time. I think that helps me stay balanced and like in the right mindset because I want to make sure when I'm at track, I'm focused on track, and when I'm at soccer, I'm focused on soccer, and I'm not thinking about other things like school or other stuff like that.
Now, track is obviously different than soccer.
Hmm.
So in soccer, if you have the goals and you won, but in track, how do you define success when it comes to track and field?
I think definitely so I definitely set my own goals for myself, like either certain parts of like where I'm running, like in my race, like where I'm supposed to be picking it up, or just certain little goals. And I think that success for me is hitting those goals. And it might not look like me doing the best in my race, but as long as I'm hitting those small goals that I've set for myself, like either a time or like when I'm supposed to be picking up my pace, I think that that's success for me.
What would you say your short-term goals are and your long-term goals? Again, You can even add in the aspect of soccer because clearly
Mhm.
being a travel athlete, there's some things that you want to achieve with that, but also your love for track and field.
Yeah.
So, what are some things you're hoping to achieve short term and long term in both of those spaces?
With track, I think definitely short term, it's in each of the races where I'm picking up my speed and like whether I need to meet running faster at the beginning, like having a good start, or whether it's picking up at the end, which for me, it's picking up it at the end and focusing on sprinting all the way through. And long term, I think it's just still hitting those marks and like trying to get varsity running time. And those little things along the way in each of the races are what's going to help me get there. And with soccer, I think I try not to think about too far ahead. Like I like to focus on every step like of the way. So when it's like make completing a pass or completing a certain thing in my game, like either a pass or making a run or focusing on the little things, because then that helps me build up to maybe a long-term goal of like scoring however many goals per game and also making it to the next team.
All right. So the big thing for you is, and what's surprising for me in a sense is you're only a sophomore.
Hmm.
So you're a sophomore, you're an athlete, and you have like two sports that you can kind of play around with.
Yeah.
Um, so that's pretty major. How do you like handle being like this person who is full of commitments? You have to balance school, you have to balance all that stuff. How do you handle like disappointing moments and how do you transition from one sport to another? Let's say you had a terrible soccer game on Saturday or Sunday. How do you come back to run a good track meet on Tuesday? Like that type of stuff.
Hmm. I think it's definitely picking myself up in the moment. And I think once I have like either a bad game or something like that, I have to start looking ahead and thinking like that's in the past and focusing on the future because I can't let that soccer game affect how I run and I can't let like a track meet affect how I play. And I think it's really important to just like pick up and move on and not dwell on it and let it affect my mentality.
Really good for a sophomore. How do you feel being an athlete has shaped your character?
It's helped me become, I think, a well-rounded person because I understand like the group aspect of in general working with other people and socializing because like soccer is definitely a very group team sport and being able to read people and working with people and even though like the past might not always be great, but it's working around like how to keep going. And that's the same with track. Like it's just track has helped me definitely learn how to like push past like the pain or like push past like the mental tough points like in the mental blocks that you build. And I think that that's helped me like all throughout like all aspects of my life.
Nice. Speaking of life, I know we have some parents that teach us a few things.
Hmm.
How would you describe the relationships in terms of how involved your parents are with what you have going on? You're talking two sports and
Hmm.
like pretty much year-round sports with soccer. So what's their involvement there?
My parents definitely push me to be the best I can be. And every opportunity that I get, they're always helping make sure that I capitalize on it and showcase the best that I can. And with it, with track, they're always pushing me, like they're always cheering for me. They're always pushing me to be the best and to do the best that I can in that moment in that race. And with soccer, it's capitalizing in showcases and or in tournaments or some in like those types of settings to be able to like remind me that this is important and that I need to showcase what I'm doing and make sure that I'm showing the best that I can.
So we always like to share their parents and give them a shout out. So can you
Hmm.
share their names and shout out to the parents for the
Yes,
support?
my mom is Sharon Patton and my dad is Nathan Patton.
Thank you, parentals, for
Hmm.
sure.
Right, right. So you played how do you define like what's your perspective on winning and losing?
I think winning is definitely that's everyone's goal. And I think that when you win, you have to make sure you stay humble because when you can't have like an I'm better than everyone mentality. Like at least with soccer, it's like if you win a game, the next game, if you have that like cocky mentality, then you're not, you could let yourself down, you could let your team down. And I think it's making sure you're staying humble. And losing, it's just picking yourself back up again and trying to prove instead of like giving up in those moments when you lose, it should be like working to do everything you can to get back up.
How would you say you view your competitors?
I definitely use them to push myself. So like if I'm up against someone else in a race, then I like racing because it helps push me to like do better because when I'm running on my own, it's just you're just running. It's like a pace you're running, it's a drill, it's something like that. But when you're in a race, it's you're running up against somebody else, and it's at that point it's personal, in my opinion, and it's like you're trying to beat them out.
Yes.
So, with the multi-sport, being a multi-sport athlete,
Mhm.
what would you say is probably the best piece of advice you received from a coach thus far?
It's definitely keeping your head like where it needs to be. And because I used to struggle with like anxiety, at least when it came to running and when it came to soccer. And I think when like my coaches definitely helped me realize like I need to be keeping my head where it's at and I can't be thinking too far in the future. I can't be thinking about the past. Like it's just in that moment how I'm performing. And I think that that's been really helpful.
Yeah, because anxiety is you just putting energy into something you don't
Hmm.
want to happen.
Yeah.
That's the definition of anxiety. I don't believe they give us in schools. They give us all these terms to use, but they don't give
Mhm.
us the real definition. So
Yeah.
we're just worrying about the stuff that we don't want to happen.
Yeah.
That's an interesting use of the word. So you're obviously pretty healthy.
Mhm.
So what do you use? What's your preventative measures in terms of maintaining your physical health, keeping yourself from becoming injured, all that type of stuff? What's
Um,
that routine like?
Well, I make sure that I'm hydrating all the time and also making sure that I'm fueling my body with good food because if you don't, then you're not putting yourself in the best place to perform at your best. And I also think that making sure that you're stretching, those are all really good things to be able to keep your body and just yourself in the right place to perform at where you want to be.
And don't forget about that chiropractor either.
Yes.
Make those chiropractic visits, make them
Yes.
happen. Uh,
What's the most unexpected lesson you feel you've learned from being an athlete?
Most unexpected lesson. Maybe that it's that you can't be too hard on yourself because I am a perfectionist and I like to hit the goals that I've set for myself. And I think that I did not expect that when I do not hit those goals, that it's not the end of the world and that you just have to get back up again and then push harder to meet those goals.
is that those goals? Is that like you balancing your individual goals, and how do you balance those with the team goals?
Well, mainly the team, because I just play an aspect in the whole team. Like my position just helps the whole team out, and so I'm an attacker. So I help get the team up and try to score goals and help with assisting other people's goals. And I think that like the team might have plans to be able to maybe it's like working on passing, maybe it's working on like team like collaborativeness. And I think that my individual how I play affects the team. And I think that that's important to keep in mind that if I'm not performing at my best, then I'm not putting in the best effort to help my team and help them accomplish their goals as well.
Now, is
Mhm.
that the same thing that you would like pull over to on the track side?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, interesting, Coach Jay, you asked that because when you say I'm an attacker on the
Mhm.
field, and you talked about some of your angst initially with running and how your coaches really help you with that angst. I'm
Mhm.
thinking if you come with the mindset that you have on the soccer field of attacker, even though
Yeah.
it's a specific position,
Mhm.
oh, the many things you can continue to do to be successful on the track. So that's
Yes.
so yeah.
And one of the things that helped me get through, at least, is I like to repeat like pain is temporary in my head because a lot of the time, like if I'm pushing myself hard and like conditioning or if I'm like running in the race and like my legs are starting to burn, like I just have to remember it'll be over and I won't feel it then, but I just have to push through and like just keep reminding myself like pain is not, this isn't gonna last and it's only temporary and then once it's over, it's over. And so I just have to keep pushing and reach for my goals without letting pain get in the way.
What would you say makes you a great competitor?
I think it's my drive to hit the marks that I've set for myself. And just like, I feel like I'm very competitive. And so when I'm in a race, it's making sure that I'm trying to beat the other person and like
Mhm.
making sure I'm beating my times that I've set for myself. And I think that like hard work and grit are definitely things that help make me a good competitor.
What would you say makes you a great teammate?
I'm very social and I like to talk a lot. And so I think that being able to talk with the people and like meet new friends and helping push them, I'm very supportive of my teammates and helping them do what they need to do to perform at their best. And so I think being a good teammate is just helping them achieve what they want and helping them get there, whether that's cheering them on or reminding them to do certain things that they wanted to do and just like being there for each of them.
If we ask your coaches or your teammates to describe you, and they could only use one or two words, what would that one word or those two words be?
Probably determined and committed because I definitely like when I when I get really focused, I hit what I want to do because it's important to me and it's like trying to think. It's like a drive to try to like do the best that I can. Like if my team's not working, if they're not hitting the passes, if they're not like hitting the marks they should be when running, it's like I just like work hard and like I'm determined to try to get there and hit those marks because it's something that I feel is important.
Now, with
Yeah.
track season upon us, what
Yes.
what are some of your what are you looking forward to this season in terms
Mhm.
of this track season?
I'm definitely looking forward to being able to start running again with my friends and to be able to race and start racing again and just the pre-meets and the like dinners after. I think I'm just really looking forward to the season.
All right. How
We're
do you see
looking
yourself
forward to,
contributing to
yes.
the team this year?
I think performing at my best to help score the best for my team and like making sure that I'm running my best race because I think that as long as it's a team sport, but it's also very individual. And so I think that running the best that I can is what's going to help the team. And I'm trying to run varsity time this year, so I think that as long as I keep pushing myself, I'll be able to get there.
As a sophomore, yeah.
Yeah. We'll just keep that attacker in your head from,
Yeah,
I think
Cool.
it'll work out well for you.
thank you.
Well, Carrington, if people wanted to follow you, trying to get a,
Mhm.
keep up with your career as you're going through, which social media platform should they follow, and what's the handle for them to keep track of you?
On Insta, it's carrington.patton.soccer, and that's my Instagram account where I post soccer, and I will probably be starting posting track as well.
Yeah, since you're out of that rookie year of
Yes.
Yes.
track. Cool. Well, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Thank you. We really enjoyed having a conversation with you.
Thank you.